At Thanksgiving, I publicly blamed my mother for ruining my childhood and cut ties. She whispered, I did what I could with nothing. I said, and I'll make sure you end with less. But then my wife found her old letters and read them out loud. I didn't go to that Thanksgiving to start a fight. I really didn't. My wife, Amy, had to drag me there, practically. I hadn't spoken to my mother in months, and I had zero desire to sit at her table, eat her dry turkey, and pretend everything was fine. The thing is, nothing about my childhood was fine. My mom, Jean, still lives in the same beat-up ranch house on the east side of Columbus, Ohio. The same one I grew up in. The carpet's different now, the walls are painted, but it still smells like old cigarettes and broken promises. Growing up, we were poor. I mean real poor. I used to lie to kids at school and say we were remodeling so they wouldn't ask why our power kept getting shut off. But it wasn't just the poverty, it was her. It was how she handled it. How she made everything feel like my fault. How she took her anger out on me every time the rent was late or a man walked out. She used to scream until her voice cracked. Sometimes she hit me. Not just a slap, either. She'd use whatever was nearby, a wooden spoon, a shoe, once the plastic end of a broom. I learned to stay quiet, to stay out of the way. And the worst part? She always acted like she was the one being wronged. Even when I was a teenager and started working at a gas station to buy my own clothes, she took half my paycheck for groceries and spent it on lottery tickets and vodka. So no, I wasn't in a forgiving mood when we sat down to eat. At the table it was me, Amy, my mom, my younger sister Michelle, who somehow still worships the ground mom walks on, Michelle's husband, and their 2 kids. My mom stood to toast, some Hallmark-sounding line about healing and family. It pissed me off. I snapped. You don't get to pretend this was a family, I said. Everyone froze. You could hear the turkey knife clatter when Michelle's husband dropped it. My mom said quietly, Can we not do this here? No, I said. This is exactly where we do this. You want to act like the past didn't happen? You beat me. You let your boyfriends treat me like garbage. You stole from me. You made me feel like trash in my own home. Her face didn't even change that much. Just that tight-lipped look she always gave when she was trying not to cry or explode. I did what I could with nothing, she whispered. That line hit something in me. Not because it felt true, but because she believed it was enough. Like surviving meant she got a pass on everything. I leaned in and said, And I'll make sure you end with less. Then we walked out. Amy didn't say much on the way home. Just kept glancing at me. I told her on the drive that I was cutting ties completely. That I was going to call my lawyer to take her name off the rental property I let her co-own when I was feeling generous years ago. I said I was done. No calls. No cards. No more guilt. A few days later, Amy went up into the attic to look for Christmas decorations. She found an old shoebox tucked behind an insulation roll. It was mine. I'd shoved it up there years ago when we moved in, hadn't opened it since. Inside were letters. Dozens of them. Some I'd seen before. Most I hadn't. She came downstairs holding one, looking pale. I think you should read these, she said. I shrugged. Why? Because I just did. And it's not what you think. I didn't want to hear them. I didn't want to feel anything. But Amy sat next to me on the couch and started reading them out loud. One by one. Mark, I'm sorry you had to miss the field trip. I had to pay the gas bill. Maybe next time. I love you. Mom. Another, to Franklin County Energy Assistance Program. Please don't shut our heat off. I'm working overtime. My son is 12. He needs a warm place to sleep. And another, Mark, I know you hate me right now. I don't blame you. I see how you look at me. I just want you to know I'm trying. I don't always know how to show it. But I'm trying. There were letters she never sent. To teachers. To caseworkers. To landlords. To me. Some of them had tear stains. Others were bitter, angry, full of shame. But they were real. Honest in a way she never was to my face. I didn't know what to say. I sat there for a long time while Amy read. I hated that part of me wanted to cry. That part of me wanted to forgive her, even just a little. But I also remembered how it felt to be a scared kid hiding under blankets, listening to her scream at some guy in the next room. I'm stuck now. I said I'd make her end with less. That I'd take back what I gave her. That I'd erase her from my life. But now I know something I didn't before. She wasn't lying when she said she had nothing. She just didn't know how to do better. And maybe I didn't either. I haven't made a decision yet. But something inside me cracked open that night. I'm not sure if it's forgiveness. Or just grief. After that night on the couch, I didn't talk about it for a while. Amy kept asking, gently, have you thought about what you want to do? And I kept saying the same thing. I don't know. But the truth is, I did know. I just didn't want to admit it. I wanted to keep hating my mother. I needed to. Because if I let go of that anger, I'd have to face what was underneath it, years of confusion, shame, and love twisted into something I couldn't name. And if I forgave her, even a little, I'd have to admit that maybe I wasn't the only one who got things wrong. A week later, Michelle called me. She was furious. What the hell did you say to Mom? She snapped. I didn't answer right away. She won't leave her bedroom. She's not eating. She hasn't showered in days. She told me what you said. I'll make sure you in with less. What's wrong with you? I didn't know what to say. Michelle always saw a different version of our mother. She was the golden child. She got more patience, more hugs. Maybe by the time Michelle was old enough to remember, Mom had already broken in enough to soften. She ruined my life, I said. She raised us alone. Michelle shouted. She made mistakes, yeah, but she kept us alive. I hung up. Then I got a letter in the mail from my mother. Not a text, not an email, a handwritten letter. She said she understood if I never spoke to her again. She said she knew she'd hurt me, that she couldn't fix the past, but that she still wanted me to know she loved me. She included a copy of her will. That's when it got worse. I found out she'd left the rental property, the one I put her name on, to Michelle and her kids. My name was nowhere. She'd written me out completely. I guess she believed me when I said I'd cut her off. I guess she wanted to cut first. I called my lawyer. Can we challenge this? I asked. He looked into it. Told me it'd be messy. That I technically still had legal rights to half the property. That I could force a sale. Force Michelle to buy me out or drag them through court. Amy sat with me that night and asked the question I didn't want to hear. Are you trying to win something? Or just trying to make sure everyone loses? I didn't answer, but I started the paperwork. And that's when the past started knocking in other ways. An old friend from high school, Brandon, reached out on Facebook. Said he saw I was back in town more. Said he was sorry about everything that went down when we were kids. He was one of the few who knew what my home life was really like. He used to sneak me sandwiches and cash when I didn't have lunch. I told him I appreciated it and that I was trying to sort some things out now. Then he told me something I didn't expect. Your mom came to my dad for help back then, he wrote. After your dad left. I overheard them. She begged him for money. He said no. Told her to get her act together. I didn't remember that. But it tracked. My dad disappeared when I was 8. Never paid a dime of support. Left us with nothing but debt and silence. And that's when I realized. My mother had always been fighting battles I never saw, but she fought them in ways that hurt me. She didn't protect me. She didn't stop the damage. And I don't know if her struggle justifies the scars she left behind. The paperwork to contest the will is still sitting on my desk. Every day, I stare at it and wonder, am I seeking justice or revenge? And will either one give me peace? A few days after I talked to Brandon, I got a knock at the door. It was Michelle. She never shows up unannounced. We hadn't spoken since our last blow-up over the phone. But there she was, standing on my porch with a manila envelope and that same pinched look Mom used to get when she was holding back tears. I need to talk to you, she said. And I need you to shut up and just listen for once. I let her in. She didn't sit. She stood at the edge of the living room like she couldn't wait to leave. I found something in Mom's house, she said, buried in the back of her closet. I think you need to see it. She dropped the envelope on the coffee table and pushed it toward me. Inside were more letters, but not from Mom. They were from my father, dozens of them, dated all through my childhood. He wrote every few months. Most started with "I'm sorry" and ended with "please let me see him." Some included checks, uncashed. Others had court documents, motions to establish visitation rights, certified mail receipts, proof of attempts. My heart dropped. She never mailed them to you, Michelle said, quietly. Never told you tried. I felt cold, numb. My mother had told me my father abandoned us. She used to spit venom when she said it. That coward left and never looked back. She said he moved out west, changed his number, never sent a dime. I hated him for that. I built my whole idea of who he was based on what she told me. Now I knew she lied. She didn't just keep me from him, she made sure I hated him. Maybe because he didn't want her anymore. Maybe because she thought she was protecting me. Or maybe she was just afraid I'd leave her, too. I sat there with those letters in my lap, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something sharper than anger. I felt loss. Real loss. For a relationship I never got to have. For a father I mourned who had been trying. Michelle sat down. She looked tired. I think she was afraid of losing you, of being the bad guy. But that doesn't make it okay. Amy came in, saw us, and just stood silently. She looked at the envelope in my lap, then back at me. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. The next day, I tracked him down. He lives in Flagstaff, Arizona now. Owns a mechanic shop. Married again. Has a son, my half-brother. He sounded shocked when I called. He didn't cry, but I could hear it in his voice. That ache. That relief. He said he wrote every letter himself. Said he kept hoping one day I'd find out. I didn't know what she told you, he said. But I never stopped hoping you'd come find me. We talked for over an hour. That call broke something open in me. All those years of believing one thing about my childhood, about myself. And now, here was a different story. Still hard. Still painful. But not the one I'd been clinging to like armor. The paperwork to contest the will? I ripped it up that night. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Because now I had a different kind of revenge in mind. Not against my mother's bank account. Against her legacy. I didn't go back to my mother's house. After I found the letters from my father, I couldn't even look at a photo of her without hearing her voice twisting the truth in my head. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just got very, very clear. She didn't just hit me. She didn't just scream at me or make me feel like a burden. She stole my father from me. She stole years I can't get back. She let me believe I was abandoned, unwanted. And she did it with a straight face. That kind of lie is poison. It sits in your chest and rewrites who you think you are. But here's the thing. I didn't want to fight her in court anymore. That would have made it look like I still wanted something from her. I didn't. I wanted her truth exposed. So I started with Michelle. I called her and said, "You're getting the house. I'm not fighting it. But you need to hear everything I know." I sent her scanned copies of every letter from our father. I let her read the words. See the postmarks. The court records. The unopened checks. At first, she didn't believe me. She said, "Maybe she was protecting you." I said, "No. She was protecting herself." Then I mailed copies to the rest of the family, our aunt in Dayton, our cousins in Cincinnati, even the old family friend Mom always bragged to at church. I didn't add commentary, just the truth. In my father's handwriting, I included a letter of my own, short and simple. "You all thought she was a hero. You thought she raised 2 kids on her own because she had no choice. But she had a choice. And she chose to lie. The fallout was fast. Within 2 weeks, I heard from our aunt, furious, heartbroken. She said Jean used to tell her that our father was a drunk who ran off with a stripper. None of it was true. He sent Christmas cards every year. None of them ever made it to us. I didn't hear from my mother directly, but Michelle called again. She's not doing well, she said. She stopped answering the phone. She won't come out of her room. She knows everyone's seen the letters. I didn't say anything. She keeps saying she didn't know what else to do, Michelle added. That she was scared. She should be, I said. And that was it. I didn't go to her when she fell. I didn't visit when she was hospitalized for pneumonia. I let the silence speak. I spent that time getting to know my father. I flew out to Arizona and met him face to face. He cried when he hugged me. I didn't cry, but something in me unclenched for the first time in years. He wasn't perfect. Nobody is, but he was there now. And that mattered. He showed me pictures of the letters he'd kept copies of. Said he used to light a candle every Christmas and hope. It was hard to hear, but I needed to. Mom recovered physically, but not socially. The people who used to defend her stopped calling. Her little reputation in the church, gone. The sympathy she used to thrive on, vanished. She had nothing left but the mirror. Amy asked me once if I felt better. I told her the truth. No, not better, but honest. And that's enough. I didn't destroy my mother with lawyers or lawsuits. I destroyed her the way she destroyed me, by rewriting the story she told the world and forcing her to sit in it. Now she ends with less, and I walk with more than I ever had before.